Now, the average financial planner might suggest that individuals should plan on saving 70 to 80% of their pre-retirement income. So to plan for that for the years to come. But when we look at in the United States, on average, if you're looking at a middle class family, about a third don't have any savings. And so we're not really meeting for as a whole, as a society, that goal. Now, we also have to be aware that there are many different economic situations that can pop up, even for those individuals who have planned well. I think right now, with the pandemic that is going on, individuals who are close to retiring age and or who are in retirement may be particularly concerned because the money that they have saved in IRAs and other investment portfolios packages may have declined just like the stock market declines. So it can lose value unexpectedly. So, I mean, in some ways that's harder to prepare for. Nobody expected a pandemic. Most individuals, at least currently, receive Social Security benefits. And essentially with Social Security benefits, once you start working, you are paying into the system and employers pay into the system as well. Depending on the year that you were born affects when you can start to take out your Social Security benefits. So as a whole, benefits start between the ages of 62 to 67, depending on the year that you were born. That information is on the Social Security governmental website. But just keep in mind that the average retirement age is 60. And so at 60, you can start to take out Social Security benefits, but you have to take them at a loss, so you don't get the full amount. In the United States, like I said, we do have this Social Security benefit right now. We don't know if it'll exist into the future, but we have it right now. But it really isn't something that is allowing people to thrive. If you're only relying on Social Security, it's allowing people to barely make it. And, I think about my own grandma, for example, who has been low income her whole life, and her Social Security benefits are essentially, just enough to make ends meet, and not even really. There are other benefits that she's receiving as an outcome of being low income. The other options that people have, as mentioned above, are pensions, which are less common than they used to be. It used to be that if somebody had a really good career, then once they retired when they were, in their 60s, then they would make a substantial amount of what they were making, when they were working in a pension. So something like just like a perpetual salary. But those are really, really uncommon now. Most people don't have pensions. Your grandparents may have had a pension or have pensions now, but those are less common. Yes, we could also rely on savings when we get older, but this is involving a lot of individual initiative. So people have to take the steps in order to sock money away, whether that is, again, something that is changing with the stock market or not. But if it is dependent on the stock market, as I said, the market is changing from day to day, moment to moment. And in times of turmoil or like this pandemic, sometimes, we're not aware of how that's going to affect us. Another thing is that people are living longer. And so when people are planning for retirement, they're, planning to live to, let's say, 90 or 80 or 90. But if people are living a lot longer, they may not have planned for that financially. And that's something that we just don't have control over. So essentially, retirement can, depending on how you're going into it, if you're planning well, and if you're financially well off, then potentially, there are great outcomes associated with it, and in terms of lower stress levels, but for one. But if you're going into retirement and haven't planned ahead of time or don't have the financial means to really support yourself well, then this could be a time that is perceived as particularly stressful. Once somebody retires, we often see a similar pattern of behaviors and attitudes that come along with these early points of retirement. Not to say that everybody experiences these phases to the same degree, but we do see this pattern emerging and in quite a few people. And basically what this entails is that right after retirement, there's like, right after you stop working, that the days and weeks that follow, there's like this honeymoon phase, this time of like, wow, things are great. I'm having this really positive mood. Look at all I can do. Or if I just want to sit on the couch and relax, I can do that. So this positive time period. After that, there comes this disenchantment phase where individuals start to question whether or not maybe they made the right decision in retiring, or maybe like they're thinking about how it's not going quite the way that they thought, or maybe they are experiencing more boredom or loneliness. So it lost a lot of its luster. After some reorientation, they start to think about like, okay, well, what should I do? Who should I become? What is realistic expectation of this time period? Like maybe there are some negative aspects, but there are some positive aspects too. So this more realistic period. And then after that, it's just establishing a new norm in the stability phase. So just like many transitions, we go through these periods where, things might seem really great, but then we start to question it more. And I don't think that these labels right here probably really just apply to retirement. They probably apply to a lot of different transitions. So next I want to talk about some of the psychological effects of retiring, or some of the associated factors that are associated with the positive or negative outcomes. So for individuals who left their jobs unwillingly, so this includes individuals who were basically just forced to retire, and that could happen at jobs. It's currently happening now with pandemic, I'm sure at different places of business around the world. And essentially like, hey, we know that your retirement age and we can't afford to keep you anymore. So we're basically saying you have to retire. Perhaps they give a buyout, so pay you money to retire. But in this situation, it leads to a lot of unhappiness, because it's out of your control. Like it's no longer yours to decide. So it might be deciding prematurely. Thinking about identity, an identity foreclosure is deciding too early, right? What you want to do. I'm not saying that we can use these exact terms here for retirement, but it's that same idea that you're deciding too early, but you're not even deciding. It's out of your control. So again, research suggests that those who are asked to retire or forced to retire early are often unhappy. Maybe not forever, but at least less happy than those who left their jobs willingly. I already talked about individuals with serious money worries. If you have serious money worries and suddenly you don't have money coming in anymore, this can lead to a lot of unhappiness. Here I use the word unhappy, obviously, but you could fill in other negative outcomes. So even depression or anxiety, or just overall negative or more poor well-being. Those who have poor health, and this is associated with negative effects. One, because it could be that that's the reason they left the job unwillingly, but it also could be because they're worried about health insurance concerns, or it could be because they don't have the same social network as they once did at work. And so health and our social lives are really intertwined. For individuals who retire and being a worker was a key part of their identity, and after retiring, they don't have a new role, like they don't know who they are. This is an identity question. These individuals tend to report being more unhappy as well. So, for example, if you don't have a hobby or people in your life, like let's say embracing the role of grandparenthood. So in this kind of situation, it's an identity question, an identity crisis perhaps, and not knowing who you are or what you want to do can lead somebody to really have more negative outcomes, negative emotions, and negative attitudes. However, when I say all of those negative things on the slide before, I want to really stress here that most individuals show an increase in life satisfaction and more positive adjustment after retirement. So while it is definitely the case that many people, are experiencing negative associations after retiring, there are many more who are experiencing positive things. So just talking about the things that we found on the last slide, then looking at them from the flip side here, individuals who are healthy, have money, those tend to be people who report, again, better life satisfaction and adjustment after retirement. Similarly, those who are married after retirement are happier. This comes down to having those social connections. That's just huge. Somebody to share that time with. Another thing that really matters is personality broadly. This is not an exhaustive list, but individuals who perhaps are high in the personality trait open to new experiences. Because if you're thinking about what we just talked about on the last slide, that you might need to think about a new role or new hobbies or new activities or who you want to be. And for some people, like they are creative and wanting to try out new things and to figure out who they are. Whereas other individuals are more, not necessarily just closed-minded, but close to these new experiences where like, I don't want to put myself out there or try new things. And so if I don't try new things, how am I going to figure out this new role or what these new roles look like? Individuals who have a lot of passions or hobbies are going to fare better during retirement because this is part of finding, new things to do and new roles and activities. Individuals who are going out and volunteering, for example, or plan to give back to the community, this is going to be positive because it's, feeding into that generativity, like I'm going to help people and make other people's lives better. It's also getting out there, leaving your house, meeting new people, making new social connections. And so for all of those reasons, volunteers, we do see a lot of elderly volunteers, but they might be really benefiting from that experience in addition to helping other people in the various volunteer activities.